there. Okay, I'm not going to be long. Raspy's better, but he's still, yesterday and today, acting kind of a little funky. So, um, I'm still watching him. But I'm here to talk about, I'm in New Jersey, USA. It's the East Coast for anybody who doesn't live in New Jersey, that doesn't live in America, whatever. We have a heat wave. We have a heat dome. We have a heat dome. It's like the movie Twister. We have cows. We have a heat dome. That means much higher heat for that area, and it just kind of hangs there for a bit. So it started Monday yesterday, or 2 days ago. Started yesterday, Tuesday. I don't know what day it is. But it should be also through Thursday. I'm used to, well, I'm not used to these heats, but I lived in Arizona for 32 years, Tucson, which is about an hour or so from Mexico. It's hot there. So, some advice from somebody who knows what heat is, except we don't have as much, like, at all humidity there as we do here. So, and that makes a difference. That's for me, the humidity is the soul sucking part. Heat, it gets you tired, but not like high humidity. So, as somebody who knows, number one, hydrate. And I mean water. I don't mean juice. I don't mean soda. Okay? And certainly not alcohol, because that dehydrates you more. I'm talking water. Like actual water. Just, I'll use some of those Mio drops, because it's got no sugar in it. But I have a whole array of flavors in here, and those are good actually. In if you like seltzer, just or like I buy those flavored seltzers. Some of them, but see they don't have sugar in them, so they just have like the cherry flavor, but not the sugar, not the sweet part of it. So a couple, like a squirt in a big bottle like this, and it's awesome. But water is what your body needs, and that does not mean that if you're swimming for hours that you don't need to drink water, because being in water is not the same. Your body doesn't absorb like osmosis, and then you don't have to drink. Okay, you gotta have water, and you need to carry a bottle like this around with you. I always had a couple gallons of car water. You need it, or and at least a gallon of drinking water, wherever you went. Because if you break down for an hour and a half, you need the water if it's that hot. That's number one. Make sure it's water based, not soda, not milk. I mean, those help, but that's not water. Second, it's not even 9 o'clock here, and it's about 9. Oop, gotta put the old person glasses on. 9:30. The air conditioner's already been on. I switched it from fan to air about a half hour ago. And the reason is, if you wait till it's hot or getting uncomfortably warm where you can't do anything without sweating, and then you put the air conditioner on and close your windows all tight, it's going to take a while for it to cool everything that's heated in the house. And I do not close my windows all the way. Now, a lot of people in these garden apartments wind up having to get an air conditioner in the bedroom, or if you're in more than a one bedroom, the other bedrooms, because the air just doesn't flow. But I'm on the end of the building, So I have two bedroom. The bedroom is on the end of the apartment. So I have two bedroom windows, which really gives airflow. So what I do is you put the air on before it gets hot. When it's getting to mid morning, because that's when things start heating up generally. So get it on. You could just put it on low cool. It doesn't have to be all the way turned up, on the air, on the cold vial. Put it on the, a little warmer cool. And then as it gets hotter, by noon or 2, 2 is about the peak of heat. But that doesn't mean it starts getting cooler from 2 on, because you've got all that built up heat. So it actually almost feels more oppressive by like 3 or 4. But if you put the air on before the air gets hot in the house and close the windows, but leave them about that far, that much, just an inch, a couple inches, just so you have that draw, that cross draw. And that actually helps pull the cooler air through the whole house. Yesterday was really hot for New Jersey. I mean, it was like up in the high 80s at one point. Which is not, oh my god, when you live in Arizona. That's like, that's a summer morning. um, I have been there when it's gotten up into the 1 teens, like 117. So, and I heard that it hit someplace in Arizona 154 or 134 or something. I'm like, what the actual... What? I know what 117 was like. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So at least we don't have that. It was, I think, 86 or 87 or something where I am yesterday. So like I said, I've already got the air on. Not even barely, maybe just turned 9:30. And it doesn't take as long because the air isn't already hot when it starts getting hot outside. Now I might close a few of the windows all the way. But because apartments, have all the windows usually on one side, and you don't have multiple. It's not like you get southern and east or west, whatever exposure. Most people. I do. I only get one though, one window. That's different. And so that cross breeze, that cross vent really matters. So you gotta take into consideration how your home is shaped. Like me, we've got a little hallway that you come down to get to the other rooms. So it works because that window over there is directly opposite the hallway, as you see there. So the window is there, and you see the hallway there. So it really does a better job, maybe, of that pull, drawing that cool air through the house. So just be careful. We are in the middle of a heat wave, under a heat dome. In Arizona, with all the, like, you're surrounded by mountains, kind of, different mountain ranges. And I lived in this place, like, that was in a little bit of a valley between 2 mountain ranges. And it was interesting because we would get this, like, if you had a storm come through and it got over that area, and if the air was the right, circumstances, the storm would kind of like drop just like a little bit, but enough that it didn't move on. It just kind of went back and forth and got stuck in that valley until it either spent itself out or managed to, with hot air and all that, get above and over. But it was interesting because living there, it didn't look any different than the terrain anywhere else. And, someplace just a mile or two away that I used to live in, didn't do it. But yeah, so that's kind of like the idea of a heat dome. It just all kind of it's not dissipating. Whatever circumstances, atmospheric circumstances, between the heat and the cold air and the hot air and the current, and all that. I'm not a meteorologist, but yeah, it just got stuck there, and it's loosely kind of the idea of a heat dome. It just all stuck. It just doesn't dissipate quickly. So it just kind of hangs over that big, I'm gonna bake you. So, just please be careful. Please be careful. Carry water with you. Use a hat because it seems like, oh, hats are hot, but it keeps some of that. Use one with ventilation in the sides. Seriously. Um, Believe me, those things that you see that are filled, like, and you can get them cold or something and put them on your neck. You see those a lot. You see people not caring too much about their hairstyle in the heat of the summer in the American desert. I have been known to take a water bottle, like a regular crack, I just or get a bottle and fill it up wherever. It didn't matter because you weren't drinking, and just dump it on your head when there's no humidity or very low humidity. That's a lovely way to cool off because then the air, even if it's hot air, blows and it feels cool, which is what evaporative coolers are based on. But if you've got the humidity and then you get put water on yourself to try to cool down, you're just wet, because you're already partially wet because of the humidity. So there is a difference in learning how to cool down in certain areas, but cooling down when there's humidity for me is just a little harder. It's harder to breathe for me when it's humid out, and I could have 100 degrees with 5% humidity. I can breathe better in that than I can breathe in 85 degrees with like 40% humidity. It just feels like you know, it's too hard. Let me just breathe in the water or breathe out of it, one or the other. Just, you know, air and water, they're not mixing. Nah. But what very important, a lot of people, this was weird, I thought at first, Arizona in summer, especially construction guys, they'd be wearing like very light but long sleeve shirts. Very, very thin, very light. But I was like, aren't you hot? What the? And actually, if it's light enough material, it keeps the heat of the sun from baking you as much, especially if you wear a lighter color. So, construction workers are who tell you should be looking at when you want to know, when you're in a new area, how people deal with whatever temperature, whatever weather is there. Watch construction workers. They watch them. Watch what they wear. Watch how they, what they do, because that'll tell you how to deal with effectively. There aren't a whole lot of people that I've recognized that can do that better than construct. They know what it's like to be out there 8 to 10 to 12 hours in a day out in that weather. So that's a little tip for you. If you ever need to be in an area you're not familiar with and you really don't know how to deal with whatever weather it is, watch what they wear. More than likely, they wear what they're wearing because it works, it's effective, it's, easy to move in, it's comfortable, and it can teach you a lot more than you think. So please, anybody on the Eastern Seaboard, anybody in a heat wave, heat dome. Please be careful. If you feel like dizzy or sick to your stomach or something like that, even if it's just a flash, that's the start of heat. They call it heat prostration, heat, you know, heat sickness. They call it a lot of different things. But there's heat stroke, and there's, and that's different. Then, like, they'll call it maybe heat exhaustion or something like that. But if you're getting a little, even if it's just for a second, a little, whoa, dizzy, first of all, make sure you're hydrating. Um, Sometimes when you're on the way to heat stroke or heat prostration, your heart will race sometimes, and you don't always get these symptoms. But if it's in a heat wave and you get a little sick to your stomach for a little bit, that's either the heat or you're not drinking enough water. And you can drink too much water. Just, don't be chugging a gallon. You can actually get sick from too much water. Because yeah, Google it. Can you die from drinking too much water? Um, but most people aren't at that risk because they actually don't drink enough water. Did you know that when you're thirsty, you're already starting to be dehydrated? Yeah. So if you think, oh, I'm thirsty, you probably need more than the sip or two that you take. That's another signal that you don't have enough water. If you're thirsty, now I'm thirsty. If you're thirsty, you notice I'm thirsty. You're probably already on the way to dehydration. It's already started. And don't gulp like super cold water. That's the other thing. Experts, a lot of them won't tell you that, but drinking temperature water, like from the tap or something, that's as cold as you should drink if you're overheated. I know. I'd be out there in the Arizona sun, weed eating, cutting the grass, cutting the weeds, out there for an hour or so. You get into the house, I just like, oh, and you chug cold water, or even worse, some people chug a cold beer. You shouldn't be doing that while you're doing yard work and work outside. You really shouldn't. Um, because you're losing not just water, but you're losing electrolytes and all that other sodium. When you sweat, if you have like a white band after it dries, that's salt and stuff. If you're sweating that out, you need to replace it. And that's where those sports drinks come in, because you lose electrolytes, you get unbalanced in your system. And when you put it under the stress of exercise or work, a physical, and so that has to be replaced. So if you get any of those feelings, even just a slight nausea or a slight, whoa, dizzy for a minute, it means the heat is starting to affect you. And if you don't do something to counter that and cease the progression, you're gonna get sicker, and you could fall out eventually. So please listen to somebody who knows. I spent 32 years, it's 3 decades in that heat. Just hydrate with water. If you feel any of those symptoms, sit your ass down, try to get into a cool place. Do not drink, when you're drinking your water, do not drink ice water, especially if you're coming in from being overheated, if you're doing work or something, and then you drink some ice cold water. Man, your system's going, ugh, ugh. You give your brain freeze to your gut. You know? And that's not helpful. Not when you need to get hydrated quickly and then you just go shock your body. So it might feel good, but I've gotten used to just drinking out of not with ice. And I'm gonna let you tell you something if you don't know. America is one of the only countries that has a big hard on for ice in drinks. Um, that's a fact. I know a lot of people traveling to America. That's one of the first things they say is, "Oh, y'all put ice in everything you drink." Um, and you do here. We do. But oh my gosh, I've been back in Jersey for 12 years, more than that, 13 years. I know came back in 2012. Um, so like I said, spent 32 years. I do know that water is important. Do not chug it cold. Do not actually try to get used to drinking it less cold, because in general it just shocks the body. And I grew up. I mean, it was a thing. You water, so whatever you put ice in it, except for milk. And I did it with juice too. So when I drank juices, um, trust me on that. I know you're gonna be like, Now, I do have to say, in Arizona, in the summertime, a lot of things do not come out even cool, faucet wise, in water during the summer. That ground gets so freaking hot for so deep that the water lines warm the water up. I mean, you're like, what? But yeah. Yeah, it happens. It happens. In the summertime, you could not put that faucet, even if you let it run for a minute, so it, flushes out some of that heat, it's still, you never got cold water. It was tepid, lukewarm. I'll think about getting cool kind of water. And if you're in a hurry, you just want to grab a glass of, you know, get going. You weren't just grabbing a glass of water, and you could run for 10 minutes. It's not getting colder like you do here. It ain't happening. So I kind of got used to it, and then I started noticing that when I would put ice in it, okay, my stomach hurt for a minute if I drank too fast. And it was just the cold. So, process of elimination. So just a heads up, get used to drinking water without ice. Get used to that. It's not that bad, and it's definitely going to make it easier to adapt if you're someplace where you can't get ice easily. It wouldn't be that big of a deal then. It's like, I've done that before, no biggie. So please, please, please be careful. And just because you're not sweating does not mean you're not getting hot. Because if it's breezy, you could be sweating and it could be drying before you realize you're sweating. That's the other thing. And just because you're sitting in a swimming pool for 2 hours does not mean you don't need to drink water. It's not the same as drinking the water. I've known people that spend all day in the pool and they're like, that night they're like, I must have gotten too much sun. I said, did you drink any water while you were out there? They're like, no, I was sitting in a pool full of water. I'm like, well, if you didn't drink it, I don't know how you expect it to be of service to your body if you don't put it in it. Kind of sat there for a second looking at me like, oh yeah. I mean, your skin does absorb things, but it's not going to absorb enough water that you need to just live off of Absorption. I'm just yes. No, sorry. I'm going to think about ingesting water, and that will be the same as water being drunk. No, I meditate, but you can't meditate yourself into hydration. Sorry. If you can, I haven't figured out how. Without actually drinking the water. So anyway, babbling on and on, but oh, oh, I got the garden flags in. Got those up today. I like this one. And of course, this one is only printed on one side, so it's, oh, I guess you can still see it. But it's not bright like that. But I love this one. And this is printed on both sides. So, have a good day. Have a as cool as possible day. And I don't mean that as in cool. I mean that as in cool. Okay? And I gotta go take care of my cat. Smudgy is laying on this. She's already acting like weird. Okay, I gotta go. Gotta run. And be careful in that heat, guys. Please. I don't want to read any stories about any of y'all falling out or worse, okay? Heat's not a joke. Take it seriously. I even made graphics and posted last night. The importance that heat is not just I'll get through it. You have to work with it to get through it. You can't just bully your way through heat waves and stuff like that. That won't work. You have to think smart and work with the heat and the weather where you are. You can't fight it. You're just gonna fall out. So please take my cautionary tales to heart. Drink water. Wear a hat. Seriously, if the sun is gonna be on your head for extended periods, trust me, your scalp can get sunburned. Trust me on that, and that hurts. It's why construction guys wear hats. Because a scalp with sunburn, you never forget. Yes, I got one once in Arizona, so I do know what I'm talking about. So have a great day. Stay hydrated. Stay as cool as you can. And stay as cool as you can, too. Peace out. Please pray for Raspy, too, okay? Peace out.